Hello, 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 hello. Come on in the room on this Sunday. How are you guys doing today? Come on in the room today. Come on in the room today. I first want to say I do not own the copyrights to the music that you will be hearing in the background. And so I pray that Facebook doesn't knock me off because of me playing music. But I don't own the copyrights to the music playing in the background. I also would like to let you all know that you are welcome to Pop Up Sundays with Crystal. And I pray that you guys got out and got you some words somewhere, whether it been in-house or out-house. I'm telling you, I just know that because of the way the world is today, that we need to hear a word. One word from God will change our entire lives, right? So we need to be in the atmosphere or in a place where we can hear a word from Him. Because listen, we can't hear a word from Him if we're sitting at home on Sundays, or if we're golfing, or if we're just sitting down watching a football game, right? So get somewhere, get you some word, and I pray for those of you that did get out today that you got a word, that you heard a word that was life-changing, that would be beneficial to your life and to your family. I want to say to you all that my 3 books are still available. My journal, God's Love for the Grieving Widow, is for widows only. Okay, because it's a 31-day prayer journal for widows. That's God's Love for the Grieving Widow, can be ordered through myself or Amazon. God's Love for the Grieving Widow. Okay, and then my second book is There is Beauty in My Brokenness. There is Beauty in My Brokenness is a story about my late husband, our beginning into our ending until death did us part. And so There is Beauty in My Brokenness can be ordered through me or Amazon. My third book, I have ran out of copies for myself, but you can order through Amazon. No man plans to fail, but many men fail to plan. Okay, so no man plans to fail, but many fail to plan. And so, hey, sister. So those 3 books are still available. If you know someone that is a widow, you can offer that to, offer the journal. It's a 31-day prayer journal that you can offer to them. And then if there's any of you that may need to get your affairs in order and in place, then you can look into getting the other book. No man plans to fail, but many fail to plan. I always get this tongue-tied. Divine Direction and Connection. That's that one. And you can order it from Amazon or you can order it through me. I will be having more copies coming in because I sold out. So I can't order more copies, but you can order it on Amazon if you need it now. Okay. So I am working in the process of working on my next book. And that will be coming out in 2026. I don't know, sister. What did you ask me? Let me see. Is it going slow? Oh, I can see your name pop up. I can see your name pop up. I was looking in the camera. So, I just want this. Listen, let me tell you guys something that happened today. Today, I went to church, and we had a medical emergency at church, and the gentleman had passed out, and the nurses there could not get an pulse, and that he was kind of pretty cold, right? And so we started praying and believing God for, his healing and everything. And so it brought me back some years back when my bishop, my former bishop, Virgil Patterson. His dad, I seen his dad at least twice actually died before the congregation, right? And was home that following Monday. And so that's what this kind of remind me of today. I'm seeing that happen. But in that happening today, and seeing God in a mighty move of God right before our faces, he was able to get up and, my bishop was saying that he had just spoke to him, in the greeting part. He had just spoke to him, gave him a hug and everything. And like maybe a few seconds later, he taken sick. And so as he taken sick at church, he literally passed out, and the nurses there, again, I'll say, did not have a pulse. And so I'm sure that when him and his wife came to church today, in order for you to get up, you may not have been feeling too well, but in order for you to get up, get dressed, come to church, you have no intentions that the paramedics will be taking you out the church, right? And it's a possibility that he could have went to glory right there. And so it just brought back to my attention that life is so shallow, and how we never know. And so I keep saying this Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, that because we don't know when our time may be, we never know when we can become incapacitated, how important it is for us to get our affairs together. Because you can be feeling good at one time, and then the next time you that quick can be gone. I think about my dad. It's coming up on 31 years that my dad has been gone next month. And him just simply talking to my mom, and they were talking about a Laker basketball game, and he mentioned his stomach hurted, and my dad was actually gone that quick, had a massive heart attack. And so we never know. I lost my sister, and I was talking to one of my other sisters at the time, and then I got a call back that my sister had passed away in her sleep, that had a heart attack in her sleep. And so we never know. Something doesn't have to happen to you, like, someone taking your life, or we never know how the ending of our life is going to be, whether it be a sickness or whether it be unknown. Like my husband was unknown. My brother was unknown. Same thing happened to him. Him and his wife were going to go out and go pay some bills. And he just, had a heart attack as well. And so we never know. So I just can't force that, enforce that enough to keep saying, because we never know what position we're going to be in. And because we don't know, it's just important that we get our affairs in order, because it's just really, really important, you guys. It's really, really important that we get our affairs in order, because we don't know. I never in a million years thought that I would lose my husband the way I lost my husband, in a matter of hours, being unexpected, for that to happen, just being for sure that once he got to the hospital, once he had the surgery, and that he was doing okay, that he was going to be okay, and he was going to be here. And so we never know when life can take a turn and go in a different direction. And so, in saying that, just to say, we never know if we become incapacitated. I've known several people that have had strokes, have had heart attacks, and they have survived it, but they're incapacitated. They cannot do for themselves. And so that's why it's so important that we have these things in place before the vicissitudes of life happens to us. and we don't know. We cannot continue to take life and our loved ones for granted. This is time and the season for us to love on one another, to be forgiving, because God has forgiven you. He said in order for you to be forgiven, you have to forgive. So if you're holding out against your brother, your sister, then he's not going to answer your prayers, because you cannot do that because of what Christ has already done for us. He already forgave us. He shedded his blood for our sins. And so he's expecting us to line up with him. As his children, we are to be forgiving, we are to be loving, and we are to be thankful and grateful for everything that we have, because you never know when that position of life happens to you, that you may not be in the same position that you're in now. It's like in a matter of a moment, your whole life can be changed. It's like as the gentleman today, not having a post, and it's, what do you expect? When you expect to go to church, serve God, have a good time with the Lord, and you don't have a post, you fall out at church. So that's not intentional, right? So we just don't ever know. And so now, and for some reason or another, I don't know why, but there are a lot of deaths around the holidays. So because we don't know. But if you know that your loved one may be compromised, or you may be taking care of your loved one, and you know that they're not in the best of health, then you really should go ahead and take heed and start putting things in place. I was, last week I had to go back to the bank. There was something else that had came up that I didn't know anything about. And so what I learned is that now the new law for California is if you have like retirement accounts and different things like that, then the spouse does inherit, and if there's not a beneficiary on there, right? And so you guys know, as in the past, I've spoke a lot about my husband having different investment accounts and different things like that, bank accounts and different things that did not have my name on it, and so did not have anybody's name on it. So it is so important that we make sure that we get these things together. So you guys know, last month, October 19th, I turned 60 years old. So yesterday I went to a Friendsgiving with some of my friends, and it was really nice. And so I was telling them that I was just so happy that I had turned 60, right? And so they were like, well, why are you so happy? And I was telling them, listen, I was trying to change my birth certificate and everything like that. So I started telling them, well, the reason why I was so happy to turn 60 is because that's when I would be able to get my husband's benefits. And so they kind of were like, really? Like, oh, I didn't know that you had to be 60. And I'm sure there's a lot of you that didn't know that you have to be 60 years old. So my heart goes out to the widows and the widowers, because you may be a widower and your wife might have been the breadwinner, right? And so you cannot get their benefits until you're 60 unless you're disabled. Then you can put in for it at 50 in California. But I've met widows over the past couple of weeks that are in their 30s. And so can you imagine being a stay-at-home wife or husband, and you are in your 30s, you're in your 40s. I told you guys I was trying to get to 60 as quick as I could. And so can you imagine being younger, but you stayed at home to take care of the children, or you stayed at home, you were allowed to stay at home to be able to take care of the household, right? And you lose your spouse, and you cannot get their income you can't get their money until after you turn 60 years old. So that's why it's very important that you go ahead and put things in place so that in case you lose your loved one, not only do we lose our loved ones, but we lose so much when we lose our spouses. You know, you lose your lover, you lose your best friend, you lose that income. There are so many different things that you lose when you lose a loved one, when you guys are used to doing things together. You're used to having, doing everything together. So my suggestion to you is to look into getting some mortgage protection or either getting some life insurance that will cover your mortgage if you were to lose your loved one. And I wish I had known that. I still am believing God for my mortgage to be paid off. My husband had a lot of different things, and so if you don't find it, if you don't know you have it, these things that I didn't know that he had, it wasn't that he kept it a secret from me. I just did not know the things that he had. And so once I started finding out different things, I was like, wow, I had no idea. I knew about it, but I didn't put the energy in to say, hey, what's that? What you doing? Kind of like that. Can you teach me how to do that? So if you have investments and different things like that, it is important that you talk to your loved ones and let them know, hey, you know what? I have this because I lost life insurance because of us not having the conversation. I was the one that paid the life insurance, so I thought that was all the life insurance that we had. And so my husband had several different insurances, and so there was insurance that I found later that I didn't know about that I lost that was intended for me to give to me. He did have me down as a beneficiary on that account. And so because we don't have the conversations, we don't know. So that's why I always say that I am believing God for my mortgage to be paid off because I don't know if he had mortgage protection or not. And so if you do the mortgage protection, that will cover, your house. That will cover you if you're sick. And so if you have a mortgage protection, you have that mortgage protection for 30 years, right? And I looked up the cost and it wasn't too bad. It was under $200 to have the mortgage protection. So say for instance, you're with your loved one and you have mortgage protection. That protects you from if you become incapacitated as well. So if you become incapacitated and you can't go to work, and then they will pay your mortgage. And then after your 30 years is up, they actually pay you back. So mortgage protection is sort of like a bank. So say for instance, you're paying the mortgage protection and you pay your home off in your 30 years. Well, you get all of your money back from you paying your mortgage protection. So that's a win-win to me. I wish I had known about it and I wish we had have got it. At least that would have been something that I could have taken care of. And again, I don't know because it's been 4 years and so many different things are constantly coming up. But, if you have already paid your mortgage off and everything, but listen, you don't want to pay your mortgage off. Your mortgage is paid off and then you leave an inheritance to your children, right? And then they lose what you've worked so hard for. And so you want to make sure that you go ahead and get your revocable living trust in place so that what you and your spouse work for, or you and your partner has worked so hard for, don't just think about it. And I know we don't think about these things, and I get it. I understand. That's why some of the things that I needed in place was not in place because we don't think about it. But that's why I'm bringing you to an awareness that these are things you need to get done so that you won't be in the position that I was in. And so you won't be out of a lot of money. Your loved ones, your children won't be out of a lot of money going through probate and different things like that because I was really so passionate about getting this thing done because I knew my children would not be able to do probate because I know they didn't know anything about it. They don't know anything about it. And so I was very passionate that I would not leave my kids in that position that I did not know. Now, there's other things that you can do as well. I've been talking to one of my sisters about this, that there's other things that you could do as well. It depends on your state. But if you have a will and a will only, a will probate. So I was talking to one of my friends and she said that she had a will and she lives in Baltimore and she had the will. And so she took the will to the courts because you have to take that will to the courts, right? And once she took it to the courts, the lady told her, hey, if your deed did not say joint tenant with survivorship, then you would have to do a full probate. And so it's just that, like that, how we don't know. So she's always talking to me. We're always going back and forth about what the person can do and what the person can't do. And so where I am in California, because I know we are a community property state, and where I am is that you get your trust done versus just having a will. But you need to have something in place, right? So something is better than nothing. But you have to let your loved ones know what to do with that. What to do with, if you have the will, if you have the trust, have you explained to your family members what to do, what your wishes are, even as far as your burial. And so this was another thing that I have been thinking about a lot lately, and that is if you do not have life insurance and you may be struck with the illness that you can't get any, it is just so important that you take the time to go to the cemetery, to go to the place and prepay for your stuff. And it's going to be cheaper than it is than if you were to, go through after you get your, because they upprice you when you die, right? But if you pay for it ahead of time, then you'll get a good deal. Even if you're going to be cremated, go and pay for your cremation. And, because let me tell you, even that's expensive now. So you want to make sure it's not so much about what am I leaving to my kids, what am I leaving to, my loved ones. What's most important is that you do not leave them in debt. You do not leave them with bills behind. And so if you have these things in place, then there's some things that can help your loved ones deal with the grief, because it's very difficult when you are somebody like I was, a stay-at-home wife, and inherit all of this and have to figure out everything to do after you've inherited all of this when you're used to having that help. And so you want to make sure that you go ahead and get these things in place. Secure your kids for those of you that may be watching that have already lost your loved ones. If my heart just goes out to, I'll say again, because I've met so many young widows that are in the position that I was in. And so I want to say today that just trust God, because He has you. He will provide for you. He will make a way out of no way. If you guys just heard my testimony of me going through probate, of me doing my trust myself, and with the help of my friend. And so it's just all God. All day long, Him placing people in my life, Him placing, allowing me to be able to do 3 books. And, my sister, I don't know if she's still on here, but she would say, you hated school and I cannot believe that you wrote a book, what is it like, and different things like that. So that lets you know that she hasn't ordered none of my books yet. and I'm sure there's a lot of you that have not taken the time to order the book. Again, the God's Love for the Grieving Widow is for widows, so I don't expect you to order this unless you know a widow that you can send this to. But the other two books, I expect you guys to support because it's a great support to me. And it helps me to be able to, move along and move forward. And so I want to go back to some of the information that I had gotten last week and I was asking the guy, I said, well, what makes it that I was able to do? So he said the laws had changed to where if there's somebody that has a retirement account that and they're married, that they are able to get the retirement account even though there's no beneficiary on there. So that's something new that I found out this week. I'm thankful because some of the other ones I had to do that small collections of affidavit. And so that was what I was telling you by people. I was telling you guys about a couple of weeks ago was that small affidavit. So if you know someone that may have lost someone because your loved ones, the next to kin can do that too. And it's a collection of affidavit of collections that you can do if your loved ones pass away and they did not have these things, unless it's a car, a boat, or that's it. And it's under 166,000. You can do that form and you can get your loved ones, say if they had money in the bank account, if they had a safe deposit box or something like that, you will be able to get it with that form and you can avoid probate. Now, let me tell you guys something. They will tell you that you have to go to probate. And so that's what they kept telling me, or they kept asking me who is in charge of the estate. And so I was like, I was married to my husband for 34 years. Like, why do you keep asking me who's in charge of the estate? Shouldn't I automatically be in charge of the estate? Well, what happens is California is a community property state. So 100% of your house does not belong to you. If there's how many names that are on that deed, then that's who it belongs to. But the law is that because we live in a community property state, that is 50% his, 50% mine. And so what happens is when you find yourself in probate, you end up having to, fight for that other 50%. So I got the 50% as the surviving spouse. And then the other 50% I was going after as community property. Well, they ended up having me, my children, automatically inherit a portion of his 50%, right? And so I had to continue to serve our children, serve them every time I went back and forth to court. I had to reserve them again. And so I told the honor, I said, Your Honor, there are children together. And he said, I know, but still, the law is that you still have to serve them. You have to continue serving them because there's a possibility that they may want to come to the next court date. And so I said, okay, well, and so I was back and forth before this judge at least 7 times. And it was because I didn't know what I was doing. But at the end of the day, you guys, listen, it was an all God thing. It was God having me there to learn the ropes of how this thing goes and how it works. It just happens to be what he has serendipity me into. And so now I'm sharing with you guys so that you will be able to go and get your things in place and in order, right? And so if you again have a loved one that may be challenged right now, that you don't know for sure how much longer they're going to be here, but you know they have a home and different things like that. You guys have a home and different things like that. You may be a child taking care of a parent, and that parent may be, you kind of see the parent being a little weaker than usual. My mom is up in age now, and she's great. She's healthy today, and I'm so grateful and thankful for that. My mom is 89 years old. She still drives. She still does everything. She's in better shape than me and my siblings, and so I'm just so grateful and thankful for her and for God's mercy and grace upon her. He has been so good to her. And so in saying that, I recognize that she's getting up in age. And so for those of you that may recognize that your loved ones are up in age, have the conversation, have the hard conversation with them and say, hey, mom, hey, dad, do you guys have these things in place? Because I don't know what to do. If something was to happen to one of you, how would I help mom? How would I help dad be able to navigate through this? So you want to make sure that you get a composition book for now. I'll give you guys that grace to get that done and write down these things. Write down your social security numbers. Write down your all bank account numbers, all ATM, PIN numbers, and even your email address. So listen, if you pay all of your bills online, which I know a lot of you do, pay your bills online. Share with your loved ones that who to pay. If you were to become incapacitated today, would your loved ones know who to pay? So if you get a Social Security check, if you get any income at all, and you have a car and you have a bank account, and you become incapacitated today, for instance, you become incapacitated today. Okay, so incapacitated is different than you passing away. So if you have people put down as your beneficiaries, you can only get the benefits when you pass away. So when you are incapacitated and you need your bills paid, you need someone that you trust that can go to your bank and be able to be able to get your money so that they can continue to pay your bills until God gives you your healing. And so that's just something to be aware of, because like I said before, that there have been a lot of people having heart attacks and strokes where they're incapacitated and they are not able to do it any longer. And so you want to make sure that you have these things in place, to have your power of attorney in place. Now, your power of attorney, you can go online to Law Depot and you can draft up your power of attorney. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a paralegal. I am someone giving you my testimony and sharing my story. Okay? So you need to educate yourself as well. When you're looking into these different things, you need to really educate yourself. Now they have so many different things that you can educate yourself with. You go online and find out everything else. So go online and find out how to get your affairs in order, okay? So it's very important. If you take the time to spend your Starbucks money, your fast food money, your Uber Eats, your, even having groceries brought to your house costs you some money, right? So we need to set aside some time where we can say, okay, I'm going to get this done, especially now because I've helped a couple of people go ahead and get their trust done. And so I'm just, what did I want to say? I'm thankful, and each day, each Sunday that I come on here, um, I'm hopeful that someone will hear not only me, but hear God through me, because this is something that He wants you to have done as well. He would not have me go through all the things that I went through for me to be able to come to His people, to tell His people the things that you need to get in place for nothing. It's not for naught. And so go ahead and start looking into getting it done, setting aside some money so you can get it done. Look into getting you some life insurance that is a significant amount that will cover your mortgage if something was to happen to your loved one. And again, mortgage protection. Mortgage protection covers you if you become disabled. I was talking to, there's a lot of military people that go to my church. And so as I was talking to one of my friends, I thought they just pay for everything. And she says, no, they don't pay for your whole service. You know, they pay for where you can be laid to rest there, but they don't pay for your whole service. So I was like, oh, wow. Okay, so that's something to think about as well, that you need to get in place. Since they don't pay for the whole thing, if you don't have any insurance, you might be thinking, well, you know what, we could just lay them to rest there. But I'm telling you guys, those caskets, even to rent them for, are just as much as buying them. And so you want to set aside some time to have the hard conversation, because I know it's hard. And I know a lot of times the gentlemen don't want to talk about it, but listen, have the hard conversation. Set aside the time to get these things in place and ask, hey, hon, hey, I don't know your social security number. I met women that had been married for over 30 something years that did not know their husband's social security numbers. And so you want to make sure that you go ahead and look into those things. I am sure, I'm sure there's someone else that I knew that had the bank account, right? And had quite a bit of money in that bank account. And they there were no beneficiary on the account. And so they didn't know the information that they could have filled out that form and been able to get it. I think it was like over $10,000 in that account. And so that's really sad that your loved one money is just given to the state, that the bank just keeps it. And so that's why it's very important, if you have CD accounts, if you have, safety deposit boxes, different things like that, each thing has to have its own beneficiary on it. Don't just assume that because you have a beneficiary on your bank account that there is a beneficiary on all the other accounts. Like my husband didn't have beneficiaries on the accounts nor the investments. So the investments, I had to go a different way than I could. It's basically the same way. I just was not told that that was something I could have done. But I had someone tell me what I can do in order to, close those accounts out. And so if you have investment accounts, you may be someone may come on here, watch the replay or something and find out that they have investment accounts, or find out that their husband has some investment accounts, right? And then you may not know what to do. You may just say, you know what, I'm not going to deal with it. I'm walking away. Do not walk away for what you guys want. Everybody knows, especially us as a race of people, our people work hard. My husband, my brother, and my father worked to the bones, you hear me, for us to have what we have. And so Don't just let them have worked so hard. Don't work so hard, even yourself, and then you just let everything go back to the state. Because listen, they have it already. Congress already have it. That's why it's a such thing as probate, because Congress already has wrote this thing up. That's why you can't get your spouse's benefits until you're 60 years old. That's why you have to go to court to probate, because if it's not in black and white, it never existed. Probate is a $2 billion a year industry. So have the hard conversation. If you're the young lady and you pay all of the bills and you're not being honest with your spouse, please be honest with them, because listen, you at the end of the day are going to be the one stuck when you didn't be honest with him. If you're the person that pays all the bills and do everything, and you know that you have not been completely honest with him, you have not stayed up on the things, have the hard conversation. Because if you're a stay-at-home mom and you pay all of the bills and you lose that breadwinner, what are you going to do? What have you prepared to do? So you have to have that hard conversation with him and let him know. You have to have the hard conversation with her and let her know. We have to talk to our children. We have to tell our adult children, hey, it's time now for you to get some insurance and for you to get insurance for your children, like I did. My mother carried us for so long. I got insurance, then I carried my kids for so long. I can't afford to do insurance for my kids now. So it is so important that you take the time and do it. We tend to make plans for vacations and we do everything else. Listen, it's just as important that we take care of these things. And then most of all is that where are you going when you leave here? Because listen, God has an inheritance for us. He says, I have a great inheritance for the Christian, for my children. And so he says a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. So there's order when it comes down to this, and God is order. So it is so important that we have the conversation. I know we don't want to, and I know you guys probably feel like this is not the time to have it, but it is. It is the time, because we don't know the time, the hour, or the day when we can become incapacitated or when we can leave this earth. So it is very important that you know where your election is, because listen, this is not the end. When we leave here, it's not the end. We are really just now beginning to live our real lives. And so you want to make sure that you accept Christ as your Lord and Savior so that you can have the inheritance of God, and so that you can leave an inheritance to your children's children, and so that you can live an eternal life. You do not want to leave here and not know where you're going. There's two places that you can go. There's no in between. There's no begging or anything like that. And so you want to make sure your election is sure, that you have accepted Christ as your Lord and Savior, and ask him. You just have to ask him, God, come into my life. I am a sinner. I ask you to forgive me for my sins. Are you going to not do things? Are you not going to fall short? Sure, you're going to fall short. We live in a fallen world. This is Satan's world. This is his kingdom down here. That's why so many different things happen. But listen, and we're not set aside because we're God's children. Although he watches over us, we still face trials and tribulations. Just because you're a Christian or a child of God does not mean that you won't have trials and tribulations. But one thing about it is that he has promised us is that he will make a way of escape. He will help us through it. He will help us as long as we know to acknowledge what we have done wrong, cry out to God, and let me tell you, he will hear you. It's no goodness. He said your works is like filthy rags, meaning you can't work to be into for your salvation. Christ dying on the cross is the reason why we can be accepted into the family of God. The reason why we can go back and be adopted into the family of God because of what Christ did for us. And I'm so thankful today that what he did for me, that he wiped out every sin that I would ever do, think about, or have done is gone. And so I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful just for God. And so I today, with a grateful heart, with a thankful heart, am just grateful for God in my life. And so if you have not tried him, I would suggest that you try him. This widow's journey is not easy. And I can't imagine not having him in my life and doing this journey, because it's hard enough not having him. I can't imagine. I think that's why there is so much suicide. There is so much, just not good stuff. Okay. So I love you guys. Please watch the replay and listen, share, like, and share. That's what I was supposed to say. Like and share, like and share, like and share. And you guys remember, have a heart of forgiveness and thanksgiving on these next couple of days. I want to say happy Thanksgiving to you all. If you guys know, if you guys know a widow or a neighbor that may be elderly or something, fix them a plate and take it over to them, okay? So, because they won't ask you for anything, right? So, I had said I was going to do this, you guys. I was going to go out with this song right here because I'm so thankful, and I pray that they don't mess my thing up. So what are you guys all doing for Thanksgiving? Give me some feedback. What you guys doing? You guys going? You hanging out with family? You're cooking? What you gonna do? While I find the song. I dedicate this to you guys because guess what? God is good. I don't own the copyright, you guys. Tragedies are commonplace. All kinds of diseases, people are slipping away. The economy's down, people can't get enough pay. But as for me, all I can say is, thank you, Lord, for all you've done for me. Can y'all testify? Yes. Folks without home are out in the streets, and the drug habits, some say they just can't be. Muggers and robbers, no place seems to be safe. But you've been my protection every step of the way. And I want to say thank you, Lord, for all you've done for me. Yeah. It could have been me, hey, outdoor, yes, with no food, hey, and no clothes, all left alone, hey, without a friend, or just another number, with a tragic end, hey, but you didn't see fit to let none of these things be. And every day by your You keep on keeping me. And I want to say, all you've done for me. Hey, 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 it could have been me. Yeah, outdoors. Yeah, with no food. Hey, no clothes. All left alone. Hey, without a friend. Or just another number with a tragedy. Hey, but you didn't see fit to let none of these things be. Now you stand by your power. You keep on keeping me. And I want to say, thank you, Lord. You've done for me. I want to leave you guys with that. I know I can't sing, y'all, but this is real to me. I want to thank you for your love. Hey, thank you for your power. Thank you for protecting me every hour. I want to thank you for your love. Thank you for your power. Thank you for protecting me every hour. I want to thank you for your love. Thank you for your Listen, you guys, last week, was it last week? Yeah, last week, I had someone at my door, and my son was talking to the guy that was at my door. And he was at my door for quite a bit of time, like 4 or 5 minutes. And so we ended up calling the police because he was saying that he had did some work for my neighbor next door. And that he wanted to do some work, you know, did we want an estimate? And it was dark outside, and my light went out on my porch, and it was really, really dark. And so after we called the police came and, you know, made sure everything was good, and then I went ahead and put my light back on my porch. But to say that, I thank God that He protects me and that He watches over me, because you guys know that I told you before that how I felt like my husband was all of that to me, all of that protector, that provider. And when you find yourself not having your loved one any longer, and you realize that you have to really trust God to be all of that to you, I am thankful today. I am grateful today for every friend, every family member, and for everybody that comes on this line. Thank you, thank you, thank you for allowing me to share my testimony with you guys. I love you guys so much, and you guys have a happy, happy Thanksgiving. Love you guys. Please like and share. All righty. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, sis. You know, when you listen to that song, it's like you could have been left alone without a friend. And so I'm so thankful for my sister's friends that I have, that God has placed in my life. I don't take it lightly at all. You know, He doesn't just place anybody in your life. And so I'm so thankful and grateful for you guys just taking the time to share with me on today. Okay? All right. Love you guys. See you guys. You guys have a happy, happy Thanksgiving. Okay? Be forgiving. Be loving. Be Christ-like. Right? All righty. Bye-bye.